everybody. I'm Tony Fleming from Fleming's Ultimate Garage. Thanks for joining me on today's Smile Maker. I say, well, Tom, why do you call it a Smile Maker? I say, well, because when you see this car, you can't help but smile. Anyway, in the world of these replicas, we sell new ones. We sell previously driven ones, and some are much nicer than others. And I'll show you and tell you a little bit about perhaps this one here as opposed to some others. So for instance, like a base COBRA might come with like a 302 and a 5-speed plucked out of an old Mustang. Or you could spend, you know, $12,000 on a 347 stroker, another $4 or $5 grand on a heavy duty transmission. Instead of having drum brakes in the rear, which many of them have, this has Willwood, big giant brakes all the way around. Like, you see where I'm going with this here. You can put in the cheap VDO gauges, right? Not that VDO gauges are cheap, but you can even put Dolphin gauges in, less expensive gauges, right? This is why some cars are worth more than others. This has Smith's gauges in it. Just the gauges alone are almost $3,000 with installation. So as we go on and on, this is fuel injected. This is really nice. It's got the big wheels and tires. It's got the side exit exhaust. Let's spend some time. Let's look at some paint. Let's look at some fun stuff, and let's figure out a way to get this in your garage. All right, so this is dressed up as a 427 SC for super competition, right? Meaning it has not the full bumpers on it. It has the hood scoop on it. It has a side exit exhaust instead of the rear exit exhaust, right? It has all the things that you probably like about these cars. This also has a really wide footprint for wheels and tires. Who cares about all that? I only care what it looks like and what it sounds like. All right, I'm just kidding. But looking is a great important feature, and I like to spend a second here. So when we look at this paint today, I want us to look at the lights in the ceiling. I want us to see the font in here. Like, when you do a video, I do these videos for a reason, because pictures, people can doctor pictures all the time. Here in the video, we're going to see exactly what it looks like. So come on up here. Let's take a quick peek and see what the quality of. But more importantly, I want to show you when this car was painted. Not only was this prepped properly and painted in the color, it was then had the stripes put on it, wet sanded the whole car, and then the whole car re-cleared, and you can barely feel the stripes in here. That'll keep them from tearing over time as you wash and wax the car in your therapy. All right. Anyway, come on over here, and because there's so many bumps and lumps, you can see how crystal clear all of those letters are, and really the quality of the paint in there. And that's really what we want to see here. We're under these bright LED lights. Matter of fact, these lights in the showroom are only a week old, and this car looks fabulous. You know, many of our clients buy cars from us, and they're not really, they just love cars. They don't really care what's going on under here, and I respect that. They just love cars. They want to get in it. This is not about what's the details of here. They just like the way it sounds and feels and whatever, and I like that as well. But you may go to a car show, you may have some friends over, they may whatever, and they want to look under the hood. And I want to spend a second looking at that, because again, back to cars that are valued at X versus cars that are a lot more expensive. Because people put the time and money into it, it makes for a much better car. So like, for instance, here, okay? In this case here, we have a 347 stroker motor, right? With fuel injection, aluminum heads, ceramic coated exhaust, right? Rated at around 450 horsepower. And you say, well, Tone, how come it doesn't have 600 or 700 horsepower? Well, let me tell you why it doesn't have it. Because you can't drive it. 450 horsepower in a 2,500 pound car. Imagine a 5,000 pound car, right? With 900 horsepower. Now you know what I'm talking about. This car, I mean, it is plenty. Thank God it's got big wheels and tires on it and big brakes. You got to be able to stop if you go fast, right? Other stuff to look in here. This is a radiator module. More money spent. What does that mean? Well, because you don't want this car to overheat. The last thing you want to be is in a cool parade or at a car show or whatever, and you're sitting there idling waiting to get in, and the car overheats. This has dual electric fans and a giant aluminum radiator that's there, remote oil cooler with AN fitting lines. These are braided stainless steel lines with AN fittings, not fake AN. This is the real deal. Serpentine belt drive, okay? The COBRA dress-up package in here. All the wires are covered. They're all in looms. I mean, billet overflow tanks. This is just nice stuff. Like when you see these things, a lot of people will glaze over them, but all of this stuff costs money. 250 bucks, 350 bucks, 250 bucks to have it installed, right? On and on and on. Here's 1,000, here's 1,000, here's 5,000, here's 9,000, right? On and on. And that's why some cars are definitely nicer than others. All right, so we're back to the super competition that we talked about earlier, what makes some others. So, for instance, we have one right here with the full bumper. Actually, come on over here if you don't mind showing this. You see how we have this full bumper here. This is a street car style bumper. It was required then, right? The other cars, obviously, they're race cars. But you can also add this for the front and rear if you want. It bolts in between these two things, but it cleans up the rear end of the car, which is really nice. I love Cobras because the stripes seem to all go all the way around in a whole loop on here. It goes all the way underneath here. Backup light. This is like a real car you can take someplace, right? And here, this is one feature that I thought was really cool. I always am enamored by that. First off, this is all aluminum back here, which is nicely done. They could have left it raw fiberglass. It's not a cheap kit, right? But it also comes with a car cover. And you say, Tone, what's it matter about a car cover? How much is a car cover? It's only a few $100 or even cheaper, right? Agreed. However, what it does say is that somebody not only garaged the car, right, but they also had it covered inside the garage. And that's the kind of car you want to be looking for. It's the detail stuff like that. All right, so you walk up to your cool car and you're like, man, this is really great, and you love it. A couple small things I want to talk about. For instance, the decals on the side here, the Terlinger Racing Team, those come right off. If you don't like them, no big deal. With a little bit of a heat gun, we can take those off before we deliver the car, or you can decide when you get there, all right? Second, once we get inside here, I wanted to show you how to get in a Cobra. Many people who are 6'1" like myself or 6'2" are always nervous about getting in a small car like this. However, there's a way that I've come up with that I feel helps me get in here. So when I put this leg in, I put it on the clutch pedal when I get in. So I go in like this, which allows me to get all of this in here, okay? And I do have kind of bigger shoes on today, and now I got a little bit of room. I'm gonna slide the seat back some. Gonna do that. Secondly, the other thing we were going to talk about is this shift knob. If you don't love the yellow of the color of this, or you don't love the shifter, both of those can be changed. So the original kind of shifter was bent, right? And so that could be done there. But secondly, if you wanted this shifter ball to match these colors here, they sell one in BRG, registration green and white, which might be kind of cool for the whole flow. However you like this is great. Most importantly, this is what we're talking about money-wise. Oh, stuff you can change. Like you may not want these visors here because you already have wind wings, right? So you don't have to have all of these visors if you don't want. Those things can be changed. This here, expensive. These are Smith's gauges. They would have been on the original car. We're talking about 1,036 miles on this car. If you were building this car today and tried to spend the money on this, first off, you'd spend way more on the car than we're even asking for it. And secondly, it'd be 2 years before it was ready, right? You could be driving this car this weekend and save some dollars, which sounds like a win-win. This is a controller for the fuel injection system that's on it. We can tuck it up underneath the dash, but it just has a cable there, and this kind of holds it there. You don't have to have any of that stuff. We can remove those things. My point is that if there's a couple things on the car that you don't love, we can make those changes. But we do have reverse counter speedometer, right, which is the way this works. And so that's the way it would have come from the factory. The speedometer comes from the right to the left. The tach goes from the left to the right. Perfect setup, just like it's supposed to be. Full array of gauges, and the focus is right here as you're going and you're seeing the tach, and then you're driving and you're doing your thing. But it's super tight, a really nice shifter, man. I mean, it's just like, that is a short throw shifter. Click, 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 click. Tough to miss gears, great power, electric fans, like all that good stuff. The last thing too is if you want to add a hidden sound system, some people ask us to do that. You know, they're driving along in 5th gear. These cars are pretty mild in 5th gear. They tack really low RPMs, and we can put a little sound system in here and get some music going as well. I don't know, it's up to you. Those are the cool things you can do all the time. And I think once you hit the 180 here, you got to make sure that you have the proper gel in your hair. We call high-speed gel and high-speed hair products. All right, so to close up this video, let's run down a few things. We have a 427 SC body, right? Leaving out a lot of the street car things that you would have seen, which would have been the big bumpers on the car, would have been a rear exit exhaust, maybe missing some of the other things, the hood scoop, it would have been flat. These are nice features of the car. This makes it look good. It's got great lumps and bumps and humps. And throw in British Racing green with white stripes. Then you move on to stuff like a quality drivetrain, right? 347 stroker, aluminum heads and fuel injections. Really nice. It doesn't matter if it's 101 outside or it's 1 outside. Hit the key. Doesn't need a lot of warm-up time like, say, maybe a carbureted car. 5-speed, so you can wheel down the highway, you know, 65, 75, 85 miles an hour. The engine's kind of just loafing along. It's really great, but acceleration through first or all those other gears is wowza, all right? This has a blackout package as well, so we have black roll bar, black interior, black side pipes. At the end of the day, I'm rambling about so much stuff on the car, and I just like to highlight, because some people will call and say, wow, the car seems a little more than some of the others are out there, and you need to see why. This car has $30,000 worth of stuff above a base car for not much more than a base car, right? That's why it's a good buy, that's why it's a good deal, and that's why you got to find a way to get it in your garage. Anyway, call us, 301-816-1000. Tell you all about this 427 Shelby SC replica, and if you don't mind, hit the like button down below. It helps us get the message out. Subscribe to the channel. We get new stuff coming out all the time, and I will see you on the next one.